What's up, everybody? We're live, and we got us a very special guest tonight from the Bronxville Paranormal Society. Al Santoriga's partner in crime, Sir Bryan Bowden. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Lou.
So
Good to be here.
awesome. Glad to have you.
I
So
see
usually,
you still kept to the everything's bigger in Texas with the opening.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I try not to go as long, but that promo video, I had to play it, man. I had to
I
play it.
gotta compliment you for it. Al gave me like, wow, Brian, you did a great job. I'm like, no, that was all Lieutenant right in there. That was awesome. So I
Yeah, I'm glad.
appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad y'all like it. So
Oh yeah.
usually we talk about cryptids, but since we have Bryan Bowden, how can you not talk about paranormal and UFOs? So we're gonna mix it up tonight, and we're gonna start it off with a little paranormal. And Brian, why don't you give us a little introduction into the paranormal and how long you've been doing it?
I started when I was like really interested in the paranormal technically when I was like 6 years old because it was started with the monster movies, Abbott and Costello reruns. I'm not that old. Um, and a show called In Search of, which a lot of people have watched. It was Leonard Nimoy, and they showed you some cryptids in
Right,
it,
right.
and some strange stuff. So I knew about Bigfoot Patty, the
Hmm.
Loch Ness monster, maybe Yeti, bottomless snowman, and then you'd have UFO stuff as well. But it really picked up when I got my wheels, and I was able to drive places. So I'd go investigate here and there, and I've always been investigating. It's just gotten better, and I've gotten more information coming to me. So when I had time off, I would do it. And then even my wife, who's been fantastic about the whole thing, letting me continue to do these things because I have so many questions and very few answers. And then not that long ago, I met this crazy Italian guy at a meetup who had all these crazy stories, and everybody's like, "Did you hear a story? Like, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Look, some people BS, but he's not one of them. I mean, he's like one of those guys that just he has all these interesting encounters and experiences. I got a buddy that never had bad luck in his life. He's hitting scratch offs and whatever. So that's how I explain it, and that's where I met Al. He started his group. I was an independent. I wasn't wearing any colors. You're a biker. Um,
Right.
but he picked me out, and I said yeah because him and I we think very similar, but also different. It's very important. See, I'm outside the box, and I have a science background in it, and Al thinks he's very critical in how he thinks at certain things. He tries to deduce it, and together we just, I mean, it's like meeting a brother, from a different
Yeah.
mother, like a long time, and we just bounce stuff off of each other. I mean, I think we talk to each other more than we talk to our wives at times, and which is
Yeah.
not a bad thing actually. But
Right.
and we just started going investigating. I just did it in Bronxville Paranormal Society. Now the problem you have in this field is that people who ghost hunt, you can't mix Bigfoot and UFOs. No, you're not allowed to do that. Apparently, there's some unknown law. So we were doing it anyhow. So we started the New York State Sasquatch organization. We started the New York State UFO project, and also we were doing Dogman stuff as a New York State thing, but we did join initially the North American Dogman project. I don't know, we still do some stuff and investigating. We'll report, but in general, we're pretty much independent and we do things on our own because we're going to do it either way. And that's just to please some of these, people out there that can't, it's like the people that can't have their peas and carrots next to in their potatoes. It's,
Right.
grow up, so, and there's a lot of correlation. So that's basically what's been going on, what we do, how I got into it.
Right. And there's a lot of in the cryptid world, especially how Bigfoot researchers can't mix with Dogman researchers and vice versa. And I don't see it that way. I'm kind of more of an open minded kind of fella. Uh,
Yeah.
especially after a few months ago, the evidence I caught. I've been
Sorry.
really open about it, but to me, I look at it as a whole and not just subsections. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
yeah, you got to be open minded.
Well,
So
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
just I just want to hit off the open mind. First of all, I have something I've been writing a bit on specifically cryptids, and I'm going to allude to it in one thing, and then I'm going to write a full thing on what I'm talking about, and it's something else. I guarantee you, I'm going to get so much blowback from people. It's going to be off the charts. I don't care, because when you investigate these things, no matter if it's Bigfoot or Dogman or I don't know, Goat Man, whatever, Fish Guy, the Owl Man, the Owl Man,
Yeah.
you, it's all hypothetical, and it's all ideas and concepts until you have a physical Bigfoot, a physical Dogman in your possession. It's all, everybody's kind of right. It's what you think. So you have to have all these different hypotheses. And then as you go through the experiences, you like, okay, that really wasn't in it, but we'll still keep it in the back burner. Right. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Right. So to get into the paranormal, I know you and Al, especially everybody, if y'all go on their YouTube channel, they got some videos up there that are really, really, really great. Y'all have done some good, great investigations into the paranormal. One place I wanted to talk about,
sure,
and I know Al Santoriga's been there. I mentioned this on B Show once. And I don't know if you've been there, but Bobby Mackey's Music World in Wilder, Kentucky.
I've never been to Bobby Mackey's.
You never been there?
But I've done my fair share of research on it. I've talked to other people who have been there. I wasn't even aware Al was at Bobby Mackey's. I mean, I just wasn't aware that he was there.
I think he was there. I may be mistaken, but I know he's got a lot of info on that place.
That is one crazy ass place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to go just to go. See, here's the one thing, and I'm going to tell you straight up. Just like I told Al, I said, I'm good for everything. I don't do demonic. It's above my pay grade. Okay. That's kind of like calling a plumber in for open heart surgery. You wouldn't do it.
Right.
You got to call the right people, but I still would probably visit.
Yeah. That's one strange place from everything I've read. All the videos I've seen on it. I've heard of a lot of people going into that place, and when they come out with an attachment. So, and that was the reason why I asked. I thought Al had been there. Of course, he said he's never been there, and he goes, "I will never go there." Me neither.
Well, I may want to do that typical drive-by.
Yeah.
But the one problem I have is I have kids, so I can't get an attachment.
Right.
That would be really bad. And these places are great for all those, like, who's the guy? Zach, Dirty Ball Baggins or whatever. And some of the other guys, it makes great TV, but I don't need to go to a demonic place or something that has a pit from hell in it, because, I mean, you got to live to fight another day,
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's a crazy place. It's just, but I would still want to drive by it just to do like have all the equipment out in the car and do a slow drive by and see if we pick up.
Yeah, heck yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
So I know last week y'all touched on B Show a little bit of the sleep paralysis.
Oh yeah.
One thing that I know a few people have experienced, and I know I've experienced a couple of times, is the Hat Man.
Oh yeah.
What can you tell us about the Hat Man?
Okay, so it's really funny. Up to one point in my life, I've never had a Hat Man or a Shadow Man experience. I believe the shadow figures and the Hat Man are this one and the same. It's just each individual entity in this entity of cryptids, does whatever they want, and it's there to elicit a fear response. It wants you to be afraid. And once you're, and what the reason behind it is, that's where its food source is, its energy. The more you're afraid, you give off, and I don't want to use terms that some people are using now, but your adrenaline keeps going, adrenochrome, and there's energy that makes up the human body, and they must live off, in my opinion. The fear aspect charges up the body. You get so crazy, and you're so paralyzed with fear because of your anxiety and everything else going on. They love it. And I compare it to what happens in the movie Monsters, Inc. The monster goes in, scares the crap out of the kid, and that energy, that scare or that yell fills their battery. Same principle. So if you're not afraid, you don't have Hat Man or Shadow Man. Now, it doesn't necessarily that the fact that you're not afraid. You could be going through a really bad time, and you're off your game, right? And that's another thing, I never go on an investigation if I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm pissed off, have a cold, none of that stuff. It throws you off and it creates an opening. Right. So I think these entities are real, actual entities. I don't think they're demonic. And I know everybody wants to go that direction. I just think these are, we'll call interdimensional, because there's no way, there's no other way or where this thing can go. It has to go someplace. It doesn't just live in the shadows or your closet. It has to travel, because I've seen it. There was one night, actually, we had a meetup. That's where Al and I used to meet in Yonkers. And the next day was the meetup, and they were going to have a special guest. And the special guest was a friend of Al's and mine, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, who was probably one of the top 3 in investigating paranormal stuff. She was awesome, and such a great friend and a great person. She's amazing, and she dealt with so many different subjects. She's been to Mackey's. She's been to the Conjuring house. She's been to all these houses that are just off the chart. She was very good friends with John Zaffis, just so you know. And she was friends with someone I know very well. He's a brother of mine. His name's Carl Petrie. And I'll talk about him in a minute. He's great. So I knew there was a special guest. I actually liked this meeting because it was once a month. And you get to, there was no other venue. There wasn't any of this stuff. So there's no other venue to talk about your ideas, your concepts, your experience, your theory. And it was great. There was some like-minded people there. And so what I did at night was my wife used to go in the room. I closed the door, shut the lights off so she could sleep in the dark. And then the last light I would shut off would be the bathroom light after, you go to prepare to go to bed. You use the facilities. I shut the bathroom light off. And what I would do is I would wait there for a second and then adjust to the dark. Literally close my eyes, shut the light off, have the dark, just to the dark. And you can see pretty well when your eyes adjust. Okay, even in the dark. Open the door. I start going down the hallway. My door is to the bedroom is to the right. I open the door, and as soon as I open the door, it opens in. Standing in front of me, same height, 6 foot. You see the head? The shoulders, everything. And I'm like, what the F? And I go back, and immediate response. Boom, I'm gonna knock your ass out.
Right. Yeah.
And as soon as I did it, it disappeared. I'm like, what the hell was that? I wasn't scared. I wasn't afraid. Didn't have any fear or whatever. I walk into the room, and you walk in, and everything's really to the right. I look over to the right. I see another one that's kind of hovering and trying to bend over by my wife. I said, yeah, no fucking way. Ran over to it, ready to go grab it. And it just disappeared right before my eyes. And I'm like, what the F is that?
Yeah.
And these are opportunists, mind you. So I've never seen another one in my place again. Okay, I'm just telling you that. But it just so happens the next night when I went to this meeting, what Rosemary was going to talk about and did talk about was shadow people. And before she gave her, I don't recall exactly what she was saying, but she pretty much said the same thing, that these beings exist. Sometimes they could be jinn, which are, what the jinn are. They make, the genie, it's in the Arabic law. And they used to be on the earth and control the earth for the most part until God said, nope, sorry, move out of the way. Man's coming down there. So they didn't like us. So sometimes what they'll do is, to get you out of a space, they'll become some kind of crazy, like, they'll manifest themselves into something. They're not good looking to begin with, apparently. I don't study the jinn, but they're not very attractive to begin with, but they know what to play on your fears. So they'll become a monster. They'll become, sometimes they look like a dogman, werewolf, shadow figure, and they want you scared, so you leave. You run out of the place. But in this case, I really do believe, because I've been listening to many reports of these from many individuals, eyewitness experience, and like, oh, I have sleep paralysis. Well, your sleep paralysis comes from fear. You ever see people that are so afraid they can't move? They're not sleeping. They're just standing there. That's a natural reaction of your body. Some people just can't handle it, so they freeze. I seen a great video of woman gets out of a hotel room, one of those outdoor ones, motor launch, and she's walking. Everybody's like, lady, there's a bear behind you. There's a bear, like a big ass bear. And she stops and she freezes, and the bear comes over and she doesn't move. And she starts crying. And I think she soiled herself in the video. And when they asked her, like, dude, why didn't you run? Why didn't you move? Not like run, but smooth. She goes, I couldn't move. I was frozen. It's the same thing you're getting when you're sleeping and something darker than your room is in your face. Then they have control of you. You start panicking. What the hell is this? And it feels like they put their weight. They may even be able to change that molecular structure and add some physical weight to them. Just like, and I'll get into it later if you want, but up until a certain point, I thought Bigfoot was just flesh and blood, and I don't now. I believe it can change its molecular structure for reasons, and there could be some weight to that molecular structure. They also can cloak themselves.
Right.
So I just think this is an opportunist coming in and wanting some food, and it has the ability to do it. And so that's my take on the shadow figures. Welcome to Kentucky, someone said. Yeah. I'm trying to, like, I'm doing it on one thing, but I also have some of the chat on the other for the YouTube page.
Yeah.
Welcome to Kentucky. Kentucky is a crazy place.
Yeah, my ex-partner's from there, and they would get a lot of footage out of Kentucky. And of course, if you watch Paranormal Caught on Camera, almost half the ghostly videos come out of Kentucky. It's just it's to me, it's cursed. I think it's cursed.
There's something about Kentucky and West Virginia that something real strange about it, and I don't know. I mean, I think it has to do with the underground cave system that runs through. Yep, and I think it has to do with, there's power and movement of water and energy and quartz, and I just think there's a whole bunch of. I think if you had the ability to cut out a piece of size cake and slice through Kentucky and see what's in those layers, you'd be like, put the cake back.
Yeah,
there's going to be a ton of crazy shit there. That's what I think. That's just my 2 cents.
Right. I agree. That place is definitely wicked.
Oh yeah.
So with just for a second, going back to the whole sleep paralysis and being struck with fear, do you think it's possible for the body to detect that fear before a person wakes up? And before they see this hat, man.
100%. That feel will be. It's partially what wakes you up. It could probably transform from a dream into like this crazy, like, oh, what the hell's going on? It can get into that psychological aspect of it mentally. We all have this thing, and Al hates it, but they call it mind speak. I'll call it telepathy.
Right.
It could be there working on the, like getting in your brain, like, and helping to trigger it. But I think you wake up to that and you're like, oh, that's what triggers you before it's there. It's getting closer, and that it wants you to see it. It's not gonna, it's not gonna just pop up, surprise. It wants you to see that, and then it wants you to see the brim come out. Like, what the hell's going on? And then it's getting closer and closer, and it's your typical sci-fi, like a horror film, right?
Right.
Get closer to you and get closer and closer until it's in your face, and you're like, holy crap, I am seeing this. Because by the time your adrenaline kicks in, can it be some psychological, like you're still sleeping? No, I don't believe so. I believe this, kicks in.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And for the simple reason, I had it happen to me once. I was teenagerish, 16, 17 maybe, and I was asleep, and I just wake up for whatever reason. I can't move, and I could see this figure hovering over me, like it's standing there. Looks like it has a trench coat, has that big rim on the hat, and it's just standing there. And in my mind, I'm looking at it like, I'm not scared, but I'm gonna get up, and if I do get up, I'm gonna kick your ass. And I'm trying to move, and I can't move, and then suddenly my leg just happens to slide off the bed, and as it hit the ground, I'm able to move, and it's gone. And I know I didn't wake up because my eyes didn't pop up. I'm like, oh damn, eyes were still open, so I know I wasn't asleep, and it was weird as hell. And I've seen it 2 or 3 times after that. And once I moved out of that house, it stopped.
Well, like if you're a good source for energy, right? I think there may be something that, that has to do with the physical characteristics of people. Like, I'm a big guy, right? So you'd think I'd be good to, like if you're a cannibal, you'd eat me, but you wouldn't. It's too much fat around it,
Right.
Yeah, it's good. It may be juicy, but it's going to be fatty. You want to get something a different size or whatever. Kids are great. You can scare the crap out of kids.
Yeah.
And they have all this energy in there. Women, sorry, ladies, you do get scared quicker than guys. And I'm not just, it's not a machismo thing. It's just a fact, because it's just the way you are built genetically. You're using 2 hemispheres, and there's a lot more to it. I don't want, it's not a sexist thing. The best is anybody, that is, I've seen some tough guys cry like babies in certain situations. Like, they got the crap scared out of them, because you can't just beat up everything you see. And what happens if you see something, you can't even touch it. Yeah. So I think what again, I'll go back to it. I think it's its own entity. It's an actual entity. I think it has the ability and it uses that fear to draw the energy, or its food source from. That's the food source. And if it has an ability to get to you telepathically without actually speaking to you, but trigger certain things telepathically, images, the concept that, like, you probably could have moved, but it said in your brain, in the subconscious, you're frozen. You can't move. You're stuck to your bed. Nothing you can do to get up. And back there, it's triggering certain spots, and you can't get up. And then it goes for it. But the minute your foot hit the bed, it triggered. It kind of connected everything to your brain started to work. Right. And then you like, I'm going to kick your ass. I mean, my personal opinion is, if anybody sees this in their home, anybody, 1, don't be afraid of it. 2, tell them, get the fuck out of your house. Out. Like a big boy or big girl, like your parents would get in your room, like you did something wrong type of shit.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And if it doesn't move, you know what? You could try, just throw some holy water on it, or just go right at it. Go right at the shadow. Say, fuck this. I'm killing you. You're done. Invoke Jesus if you want, if that's who your deity is, Buddha, whoever, and once it knows that there's no fear there, it's not coming back. It may try it again sometime, but it knew with me when literally I punched it the first thing I did, I think I surprised them actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think this thing was going to try to come through the door and go elsewhere, you know. And I think when I opened the door, I surprised it. That was my feeling internally. But when I came in that room, and I came in really quick after that, looking for like back and forth, and I saw it, and I went right at it. It was, I would have said it went, holy shit, and it disappeared.
Yeah.
It's like getting caught. And that's that. I mean, I can't. The doctor, see, I love B's show and Marquetta. That was great. But the problem is, they'll give you the scientific explanation for it, right? The doctor explanation for it.
Right.
Because what we are talking about is something that should not exist in all intents and purposes in life. It's more of a folklore, a fantasy, and they can't admit to that. So they have to give it a rational explanation, even though what I just said to you is actually a rational explanation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they won't believe it because it's not, clean cut and like, no, that's not true. You're making something up. Like, I'm not making shit up. I've seen these things.
Yeah.
Just like I didn't want to believe anything about the Dogman whatsoever. I mean, Al was the one like, dude, bro, you gotta listen to this guy. And he starts telling me the stories, and he said, sending me the stuff. And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Now that's 12-foot werewolves. Okay. And then I talked to people separate from Al. And I asked them certain questions because off the record. And I got in touch with a couple people that they got in touch with me, military based. And they're telling me things like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk this way. We'll communicate, which we communicated through one of those secure type of app things where they're encrypted and stuff. Right. And he goes, I don't ever use my name. Don't, whatever. I know you may talk about it, but don't ever use the bases or any of the locations I'm going to tell you, but it's 100% real. One of my jobs is to get rid of these things. It's just what I do, along with other things, get rid of terrorists or any other type of threat. So, but it's real.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it 100%. When I first got into Dogman, I was partners with a gentleman out of Kentucky.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah. And, we interviewed him on B show. He reached out to me. They were going to do a documentary. He goes, hey man, I really need some help. No problem. I'll help you. I ain't got no problem with it. And the shit he was sending me, and it's just almost on a daily basis, old footage, new footage, old footage. I mean, I've got gigs upon gigs of his footage. And you wouldn't believe what he caught. He caught a bunch of good stuff. And to say it was paranoia, no, because a lot of it I seen, you could see the eyes, the nose, the ears, the face looking dead ass at you, and you're like, God damn.
Yep.
And from there on, I was a believer. And then, I've always chased Bigfoot, but once I started going out on my property when my dad bought it, I give it 6 months, and boom, right behind me, there's one of them in the red circle, plain as day, caught him.
Yep.
And I was baffled. I'm like, no, there's no way they're down here. But man, I'm reading so many accounts out of South Texas, Central Texas, the Sam Houston. I'm about 2 hours from the Sam Houston.
Sam Houston's huge with them.
Yeah. Yep. And I plan on going out there here in a few months, but it's just amazing how this Dogman phenomena has just went viral and spread, Well,
Vic did a really, really good, in my opinion, Vic Cundiff is the godfather of this. That Dogman and Bigfoot stuff. Not necessarily Bigfoot, but the Dogman stuff. I really think Vic was, instrumental. Probably not intentional. He was just bringing those projects out and these stories out. And I remember I told Vic, I've been on a couple of times for the Dogman encounters, and I also been on for Bigfoot Eyewitness Radio. I think that's what it was. And one time I'm like, Vic, I mean, like, I don't know if this is anything important for you, but he goes, no, just tell me, because it wasn't as important. But I'll tell you right now, to tell you what I did. We were at my cousin's place in Delaware, and we stayed at a hotel in Elkington, Maryland.
Mhm.
And where this hotel was, it's like a couple miles off the 95 corridor. And it had to be, it was perfect because it was right next to a Waffle House.
Hey, there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was the introduction for my family to Waffle House and the God gift of Waffle House. And, you don't get this body by not eating Waffle House. But there was a squatchiness to it. There was railroad tracks that went through. There was back roads you can get to it. And I was just like this. When you're once an investigator, you're always an investigator. You're like, this is real squatchy. This is like squatchy Bigfoot. And when I say squatchy, it means Dogman too.
Mm-hmm.
So I just Googled something like werewolves, Elkington, Maryland. Boom, popped right up. And a couple was driving home one night, and they saw a carcass on the road, like a deer. And they thought there was like something eating at it, a bear or whatever, except the bear stood up and had a big pointy nose and, fangs. It looked like a werewolf. Scared the shit out of them. And they drove away. So where this hotel was situated, it's on a piece of property. It was pretty close to the tracks. And there seemed to be this we happened to get the first floor. So if you go in, we were on the left side of the hotel looking at it. And it was easier for me to come out of my room and go to the side door to smoke a cigarette. And I'm smoking a cigarette and I see something in the woods. I hear some, foot, walking around, something bipedal, not like there's a difference between 2 feet and 4.
Yeah, oh yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
And I'm hearing this, and then at the height we were on a pretty much of a grade of about, that's probably 6 foot. So I'm 6 foot, so I was about 12 feet up technically, like where my eyes are. And in the woods, I see something, and it looked a little bit reddish, but then it started looking like that yellow. It was weird. And I'm like smoking my cigarette, and then all of a sudden I'm staring at this. It's coming a little bit closer. I'm hearing it. And the next thing you know, I hear something that's coming around. So I'm staring at it this way, and there's something else coming around on my right side because of where we were. And I'm like, I get goose pimples when I get my third eye going and sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, and stuff's going to happen. And this stuff came up, and I had this feeling in my stomach like, you need to get out of here right now. You're being set up. And I quickly put my cigarette out. I went into the room, and I told my wife, I said, by that time she was asleep. I told him, she was going to bed. I said, don't go out the side entrance. I just made it something. There's a wild animal that don't go out there. Smoke a cigarette in the front. She goes, okay. Because she didn't know. And not that it was going to do anything, but I've never done this before, but I put something in front of that door. So I put all the chain on, whatever it was. And I put that rolling chair in front of the door. If I got to drag the TV in front of the door, I wouldn't have stopped nothing. But I'll tell you that something was coming around the corner. And so this is what I told Vic, and it was unnerving. You could feel it. And this was a couple different times. I kind of felt like, I went out a couple of times and I had this feeling like I was being watched, that type of stuff. But it ended by me, getting in the room. And he told me some things about Dogman that, unfortunately I can't reveal because it's a way for him to tell. And it's very interesting. But I can tell you this. If you want to avoid a Dogman encounter, you may not want to smoke.
I've heard that.
Yep. If you want to avoid being food for a Dogman, you may not want to smoke.
And I've heard a lot of people who have had encounters. They start out their encounter while I was on the back porch smoking a cigarette.
Yep.
And that's maybe 80% of encounters I've heard. That's how the encounter starts. I was on the back porch smoking a cigarette. B, same way when she had hers. I was outside smoking a cigarette. I'm like, man, I think I'd quit. And I don't know if it's, to me, tobacco, when I think of tobacco in these cryptids, I think of Native American. Native American, I attribute that to Bigfoot. Well, now you're hearing all these encounters of people smoking, and then here comes a dog man coming out, and and he's curious, and it's just it. And then you hear people saying, if you're gonna gift a Bigfoot, which I'm not gifting shit, use tobacco, or Dogman use tobacco. No, I ain't gonna set a pack of cools out there and nothing. They're gonna have to do without, because to me that's asking for trouble. And
well, yeah, I mean, look, we have, there's a couple of gifting things going, kind of like I don't call them gifting, I call them more interactive sites, where there are experiences, and Al happens to be in a better location where a lot of, some of these are. And I never recommend food-based gifting or interactions. You do not want this individual entity associating you with bringing them food.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, it's gonna turn up real bad. The tobacco thing goes back to the Native Americans, and it also is something that's an offering for the spirit world. It's pretty tame. Another thing I know that the Bigfoot is they like mash. So if you took, they love that stuff. That's why Kentucky is, they got a ton of stuff in West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia, because you still got, guys out there doing stills. And there's report after report after report of these things coming in and loving that mash, because they're getting drunk off it, they're getting high off of it, so they like it. But if you don't want to start something, you don't want to open up a Pandora's box, you don't have to gift to them. But you may craft enough of a relationship where eventually you will they'll step out of the shadows for you. And I think the ultimate is if they use telepathic communications for you, which would be great. That's the end goal for myself. I think it's partially for Al. I mean, you can ask him, he's in the chat room. And because once they start talking to you, then that means there's going to be a dialogue, and you can start asking them questions. How long have you been in these woods? Where do you truly come from? Are you from this earth or another dimension? So then you can start getting answers, from these cryptids. And I'm talking about Bigfoot specifically.
Right.
There are people, and Dogman's not bad. It's just drawn that way or whatever. Dude, I had a major interaction. Al and I, 20 feet away from a freaking Dogman. It started great. It lasted, and then this thing disappeared, and it got like a come to Jesus moment, and we had to get out of there. Well, Al was screaming at me anyhow. And I knew it was going to go bad if that was the case. I just it was right there in my mind. Like, you need to go right now. Get out now. Don't worry. Leave whatever you have to go. And we got out. But yeah, no, I know some people they don't want to have the interaction with. They like to see it, but they don't want to. They want to have an interaction with it.
Right. And see, I ran into a question yesterday that popped up on Facebook, and honestly, it kind of pissed me off. A certain person, I'm not going to reveal the name, said why, and it was because of my logo, my Dark Woods logo. They seen it up on a group and said, why do people portray these things as being evil, as being mean? And I'm like, okay, that's a dumbass question. There's a lot of people, and I've ran into a couple that have straight up tried to tell me that all these cryptids, Bigfoot, Dogman, they're friendly. You can walk right up to them. Sorry, pal. You walk up to a damn 12-foot tall, 1,300 pound Genoskal Bigfoot, it's not going to go well. You're not going to walk out alive. And same way with the Gugway, man. Not all these creatures are friendly. And I try to stress that to people because, one, the people that are saying this are ones who are sitting in an open field with their phone at the woods, like, oh yeah, I'm going to get something. Had they be going into the woods like I go into, or like the rest of us go into, they wouldn't be saying that shit.
Or there are people that are sitting home in their chairs right now watching videos of it, say, oh, I would have run right into it. You know what?
Mm-mm.
When you have something that's probably 10 feet tall or more, 900 to 1,500 pounds, that could kill you without even batting an eye, you're not running up to it.
No, you're not.
Just like you're not running up to a rabid pit bull. Don't tell me you're going to run up to it. Everybody's an armchair quarterback. And you know what? It's you are, unless you have crafted a rapport with these individuals, these entities, they're not letting you walk up to them.
Mm-mm.
And it's just not happening. Even when people have crafted like decades long interactions, it's still a standoffish type of thing. Why? Because humans are dangerous.
Yep.
Okay, and they know it. They know what humans will do. 99% of the problems come from, like, if you have a Dogman and it does something stupid, or it goes into a house, or it kills somebody in Kentucky, and they know it's going to happen. The military is going to be called. The FBI is going to contact the people they have to contact, and you're going to get a team of men and women trained to kill, to go in the woods, and you aren't getting out of it.
No, absolutely not.
Until you are dead, they're gonna be there until you're dead. And that's why 99% of the time, Bigfoot doesn't really cause problem. It stays by itself. You get these the younger ones, not like the babies, but the ones, the teenage years, where the hormones are raging.
Mm-hmm.
They want a piece. They want to mate. It's all going, and they get pissed and they get angry just like everybody else does. Or something happens, something attacks their young, and they're going to do exactly what you would do. I mean, they're not going to get in their car and drive down to the local place and try to pick out some chick. They're getting aggressive. That's why I kind of, one of the questions, and it's very personal, but it's very important to know, is that when we take people out on an investigation, which we don't always do, but especially a female, okay, we need to know if you're going through your monthly cycle at that point. Yep. Because just like any other animal, they can smell it, and it gets them crazy, and it could become a problem. So I'm tired of hearing that was that Miss B posted something about a really nasty Bigfoot. And I think I commented, why does everybody think these things are just like Harry and the freaking Hendersons? Yeah. It's a class A bipedal predator. That's what it is. It's, if you're, it at will can kill you. It's not Harry and the Hendersons. You aren't bringing them home. Or my daughter wanted, the younger one, can you bring them home for a tea party? Not happening. It's just, I don't understand. Would you consider one of the grizzly bears over at Yellowstone? Oh, just walk up to it. It's the same thing. You're not going to walk up to a grizzly bear. What would make you say right?
Go ahead. Prime example. Remember the grizzly man?
Yep.
Did you ever see that guy? Okay. Prime example. This guy was going up trying to have a good rapport with all these grizzlies. When I seen this guy's documentary, movie, whatever you want to call it, I looked at him and I said, man, that guy's a jackass. Why in the hell are you going to go and try and, for lack of better words, try and pet a grizzly bear? I mean, one, they're wild. Two, they hunt. They like meat. He's meat. And it turns out at the end, one that he thought he had a good rapport with turned on him just like that. And it didn't turn out too nice for him. And that's what I try to tell a lot of these people who say they want to have an encounter or they say they're friendly. It just does not work that way. And that's the bottom line. These creatures are apex predators. Some of these creatures eat nothing but meat. Gugwes, Janosquas, that's what they eat. And whether it's a cat, a dog,
they love house pets. They love them.
Easy snack, easy snack. And that could be attributed to some of these people going missing. I know if you go in and you come across a Janasqua or a Gugwe, that
right.
you're less chances you getting out less than 10%. And
Oh,
they do not give a shit about firearms.
yeah, they don't care.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. And I kind of have a little chat there. To answer Miss B right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are attracted to the blood. Any predator, any animal will be attracted to blood. You can put a drop of blood in the ocean, and a shark, I think a mile away will eventually smell that. Also back to Steve. He had two
Riley.
things he was talking about. Riley, yeah, sorry about that. They've never told me where they come from. I haven't yet to have that kind of interaction yet. We're working on that. Our current ambassador is an Italian guy named Al. So he's been
Squatch
doing a little bit
Father.
more. Yeah, the Squatch Father. And I've recently come into some information about something local, so I've been trying to get to that. More just to it's not that far away from me, but it's far enough where I can't kind of like get to it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So but I'm trying to create some kind of craft of rapport there with another one. But if they do, I will definitely mention it. And also, I think Steve Riley was mentioning about the cave system. I thoroughly believe that all these cryptids, no matter what kind of Bigfoot it is, or an Alba Witch or Dogman or whatever, totally utilize the caves and also, as you said, coal mines. They're in those old abandoned, coal mines, and they know what's going on there. And also, your apex predator, the bear. Grizzly bears are in these things too.
Absolutely.
Mountain lions are in it. There's a lot of that stuff that's in it. So yeah, I wouldn't go traipsing around too many of them.
Oh no, especially the mammoth caves. You're talking 20 something miles of unexplored caves. I think the furthest anyone has ever gone in there, I may be mistaken, is like maybe have 1.5 miles. I may be mistaken, but that's as far as they can go. And it gets so desolate. And then you'll have to carry like a SCBA or some type of oxygen delivery device in order to go any further. Because
not only that, you need scuba gear at certain points.
Yeah, because water got to go downhill at some point.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised if these creatures, they're very good at cloaking themselves. All of them, they can cloak themselves without even thinking about it, and different levels of cloak, like to fully invisible, upwards of like I will call it the predator cloak because that's the best one that people understand. Right. But they also have the ability to make something look like a dead end because there are boulders down there, but they can pick the boulders up. I mean, they know, they're a lot stronger than you.
Absolutely.
People don't get that. It's like, you're dealing with something that is highly intelligent, very, very intelligent, both ends of it. So I'm talking about Dogman and Bigfoot Sasquatch. And they don't necessarily want to be caught. I think the Dogmen are a lot more, I don't know. I think they like to mess around with people a lot more to get off on. They're always like jiggling handles or knocking on your door at 3:00, like the front door and the back door, like, like making sounds, come on out. If they wanted to, without doubt, these creatures are so powerful that they could just bust through your screen and bust through your door without even thinking about it. And that's the big question. I talked to Al about this. I talked to everybody about it. Why is it that these creatures don't come through the door? What is it? Do they have to have permission before entering your home? Which a lot of things do. From the black eyed kids. I talk about black eyed kids. Let us in. Let us in.
Yeah.
And by opening the door, you're giving them the permission to come in, right?
Right.
But it's the same thing with a vampire in vampiric law. vampires can't enter your home unless you invite them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed that a lot of these creatures will observe from the outside, but they never come in. Why is that? Is it what? Is there an underlying universal law that we're not aware of in the universe that said, look, if you're going to do something and something negative or nasty or evil or even positive, you must reveal what you're going to do. And if no one chimes back like no, then that's permission, and it goes
Right.
multiple levels.
You know, maybe, and just like you're saying, would that go back to a spiritual type realm where they have to be invited in, or is it because these creatures are just that damn smart that they know that there's the possibility of a firearm, 2 or 3 people in there who could have firearms, or are they strategizing?
uh,
I really believe these, just like Bigfoot, these creatures are curious. They'll look through windows. It's just like the Kentucky incident. I'm willing to bet money that that creature was in and around that area for a day or two, just watching. Because
yep.
just
Here's
like this picture behind me, that's exactly
okay.
what they do with me.
Right. So I'm going to tell you, I'm not opposed to hunting whatsoever. I'd love to learn how to hunt. I never did. I didn't have to. Okay. I'm very big, strong supporter of Second Amendment firearms. Love them. As soon as I get to Florida, I'm going to be, trust me, Bernelli is going to be my middle name, then followed by a Ruger. Because, when you have kids, you got to do it. And I love shooting and all that other stuff. But you got to understand something. I talked to a couple people that are real hunters, like Ted Nugent stuff. They hunt big game, trophy, but they eat it. They eat everything, or they'll disperse it to others that will eat it. Okay. And when you come up against the Dogman, okay, and if you've physically seen these creatures, for some reason their chests are big. They're very, very big in front of you. Bigfoot has a lot of meat on him, but not as big a chest as a Dogman for some reason. And what I think you have there now, when you're trained to shoot, you shoot center mass, right? 2 in the chest, 1 in the head. Am I correct? Roughly.
Yep.
Okay, here's the problem. Not only are the bones thicker on this creature in the front like that, okay, but they have this lovely layer of skin protection. And basically, unless you have I think it's like a 16.9 elephant gun. I forgot the grain. There was a gun that literally was like, the shot was huge. It looked like a big shotgun, but it'd blow your arm off. It's an elephant gun. It's designed to stop an elephant.
700 nitro.
Is that it? Okay.
Yep.
I know that it was around for a while. Okay. Unless you have not just 1, 2, you have like a clip and a half of 100 rounds in each clip of that type of caliber, which I'll be brutally honest, you fire that caliber more than 10 times in a row, you're going to mess up your gun and you're dead. Okay, you're just going to die from it. You're not stopping this thing. You're going to piss it the hell off.
Yep.
Okay? It's going to piss you off. Like, I'll give you an example. If I got shot in the arm or, with a BB, okay? And a child got shot in the arm with a BB at the same distance, whatever, it's going to sting like hell. It's going to hurt for me. For a child, it's going to make them feel like, oh my God, I'm dying. It's really going to hurt. Same principle. So when I talked to this guy, and he's a moose hunter, he likes hunting moose, and he goes, you can't take a moose from the front. You got to go from the side, and you got to get it at a certain angle. Otherwise, you better be able to run fast because it's going to freaking kill you. Yeah. Because what happens is the skin layers are so thick that it gets caught and it just stops there. It almost acts like a bulletproof vest. But and Dogman will tell you. I've heard the stories. They'll say you don't do that. People they it's almost as if they can read your mind, and I think they have the abilities that we don't have. They're born with, And I think if we did have, I think we do have what the same abilities that they have, as far as using your brain in certain ways of telepathic type of communication, where you could read other people's thoughts, and they know what you're thinking. And like, don't do that.
I'm a firm believer in that part,
Yep.
for the simple reason, my very good friend Scott Pace from Louisiana
Yep.
had an incident about a year or 2 years ago where he was hunting and he seen something come out the woods, and as it came out, something else came out beside it. Curiosity killed the cat. He raises up his rifle to look through the scope, and he seen a Dogman, and it told him, put the rifle down or I'm going to come over and tear apart that little building and kill you.
Yep. They know what's going. See, something that we were coming up with. I do what they call what's known as Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. It's been around since Hynek was here, but there's a doctor who's really a cult, in my opinion, who thinks he created it, invented the Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind, which is an active encounter. So we don't use that, but I call these things an AIE, which stands for an active intelligent encounter. And I'm going to get to Al's question too, by the way, but he knows because he's going to call me tomorrow and bitch and moan. So what an active intelligent encounter is, if you want to have an interaction or an intelligent encounter with a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, or why a Dogman, I don't know, but a Dogman or Mothman or aliens, okay? The first important rule in making this successful is called intention.
Mm-hmm.
If your intention is good and peaceful and in harmony with the universe, like, look, I just want to have an interaction with you. It has nothing to do with anything. I don't want to hurt you, harm you. I don't want you to hurt or harm me. Just want to know that you exist. Please let us know that you're here. That type of stuff. You're halfway through the battle. Okay? So these creatures know your intention the minute you get probably 500 yards from them, minimum.
Yeah.
They know what's going on. They probably have a 300 to 500 mile radius hunting and ground. That's, if the standard wolf, coy dog, has 150-mile radius hunting ground,
mm-hmm.
These things have at least double, if not quadruple.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. They know what's going on in the woods. They smelt you the minute they smelt your car and heard it rolling up, or how you got there. They smelt your physical scent and essence. But without a doubt, they knew it was human. And once they know that and they connect with you, get close enough, they know where you are and that buddy was in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And they know what he has. And they just tell him straight up, it ain't going to be good for you if you lift up that rifle again.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know the full thing, but if the guy was smart enough, he got the fuck out of there.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard other stories where great story. A friend of mine, it's in Canada. His friend was on the property, looking at two Indian native went out on some property doing the hunting thing. They had the rifle and the scope, and they saw some bears in the distance, and he was like, "Oh, let me," and then one of them stood up, was standing. Not unusual. Some bears do that, right?
Yeah.
And the guy looked through the scope and he saw it was a dog. He goes, "We got to go now. Let's go. He knows if they know to stay the hell away from Dogman, then you should be staying away from a Dogman.
I agree.
They respect the Sasquatch beyond belief. It's the spirit of the woods, the wood guardian, the guardian of the woods. But this creature knows when you're there, and it knows. It's kind of like Santa Claus. It knows if you've been good, naughty, or nice.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example of a Dogman encounter. So we lost a really, really great guy in the cryptid community and the UFO community, actually, all in all. His name is Butch Witowski,
Mm-hmm.
UFO cop. He's out of PA. Probably one of the greatest guys I've ever had the pleasure to know and be called friend. And I mean, he was just former police officer investigating all these stuff, bipedal canines and cryptids, right? And I'm just trying to, so he had a case. He was on a case, and there was about a dogman, and it was in a certain property, and so he went to go investigate it, and he said, "I'm looking for this dogman, or whatever, and have you seen it?" And the guy behind the counter happened to be native, like Native American, Indian, whatever you want to call him, and he was trying to get permission to go on this property. So he goes, "Look, I'm gonna contact my elders, and I'll let you know." So he left his information and number, and he talked to the elders, and the elders sent him a package, and they sent it to the store. They told him to come back there, pick it up. He picked it up, and in the package they told him also, when you go, do not bring a firearm whatsoever. Don't even leave it in your car. Don't bring it, but bring a long sword, which means a machete.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a big blade. And the reason why, and I say this to everybody, always have at least 1 or 2 machetes on you when you go in the woods, even if you have a 30-06, 308, 45, a Desert Eagle. Shit, you have an M50. Always have machetes at the ready, front, back, side, whatever. Bullets put holes in you. They respect the long knife, because that slices your ass open.
Yeah.
So getting back to the shot story, the moose, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can sit there, boom, 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 9mm, 10mm, 45, boom. It's going to get stuck in there. And eventually, it's going to hurt enough, it may break something, and they'll die. But all I got to do is take one machete and go, and I just slice it in half. You slice it open, it can't recover from a wound like that. So that's what they respect, in my opinion. And can I get to Al's question? Is that all right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry. I just see it up here all the time. So I think, Al, you're referring to the one that was in Kentucky, right? The one that Miss B was talking about a couple times. I really do think that was a dogman that went really, really bad. And it was either this woman surprised it or did something to it that she shouldn't have, and this thing ripped the shit out of her. It killed her. Now, I don't know if these creatures can get rabies or not, but I don't think it was a rabbit attack. I think this was an actual dogman attack on this individual. And the whole cover story about dogs, because they found dogs with her after the fact, that was just the easiest way to explain it and bring something to justice than while they actually sent military or police out there to go hunt this thing down. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and B and I have talked about that story before.
Yep.
I told her straight out, from what, and I've heard it. I never really went too depth into the encounter, researching it, but from what I did hear, it doesn't sound like a typical dog mall encounter.
No, it sounded a shitload like
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, don't get me wrong. If you have big cats, they're very aggressive. Mountain lion. If any animal that's wounded, hurt, or hungry can do a lot of damage.
Oh yeah.
But what was described, or the weirdness described about these markings from the nails or whatever that swiped at her, way too big. Way, way, way too big. Look, I had a bull terrier. Don't forget, watch over us. He was 66 pounds in the summer for his bikini wear, and and in the winter, that boy got like 87 pounds. He thought it was a lap dog. He had pretty decent sized paws, and unless you're talking about, I think I forgot the Chinese Malamute or whatever the hell this thing is. It's like ginormous. Nah, not gonna happen. And I don't think the bear would do anything either. Bears in general, the black bears. Not that I want to mess with them. They're pretty like get away from me type of thing. They run away. They don't want a confrontation. think brown bear's a little bit more aggressive than black bears. We're not talking about grizzlies though.
No.
Grizzlies will just come at you if they want to. They'll do whatever they want, and they're not even the worst. The worst out of all of them is the polar bear.
Polar bear, yeah, I've heard that.
And then they have the new thing now where, they have the polar bear mating with a Kodiak, so they have this bear that's bigger than the polar bear and a Kodiak. It's just like a ginormous, like a liger. You ever see a liger? It's lion and tiger, and they're like ginormous. This is kind of equivalent to it. It's huge and it's very aggressive. Yeah, they don't mess around.
Oh no, I've heard lots of stories on polar bears, and they're none too friendly.
No, not at all.
Very, very, very aggressive from what I hear. Very aggressive.
Going back, because I talked about other things, but Steve Riley was asking about fire. I'll tell you this, that when we do our investigations, I don't have firearms. I live in New York City, and so it's all communism here, and to get one is a pain in the ass, even a long rifle, Not only do we not bring firearms on it, unless one of our team members is a federal officer or usually customs are allowed to go and carry 24/7. We do have some people that come with us every once in a while that are those. They can carry whatever they want, and I trust anybody with a firearm like that. But we don't have them because if you get caught on federal property with a firearm, I think it's a mandatory year in prison, and like some sick type of fine and penalty.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it. So when we go out, besides having, survival knives, machetes, we have other things. We have, sometimes we have, we're going to be using one of those stun gun type of things,
Oh yeah.
100,000 volt something.
Yeah, like a taser.
Yeah, like a taser. But another thing we did, because we had to figure this out, like what's going to give us enough time to put distance between us and that creature if we get into a situation to get out. We carry flare guns. Now, flare guns are like, believe it or not, handheld shotguns. They're designed for a specific thing. I wouldn't use it as for shotgun shells, but there's phosphorus involved, and I do carry sometimes. I carry like a lighter fluid, liquid, so that you can spray it and then just hit it with a flare gun, and it'll
whoosh.
Yeah, fire is very big. Yeah, I mean that's talking life-threatening type of situation. I'm not recommending for everybody. I'm not here to light the forest on fire.
Right.
But if it's my life, or dealing with, look, dude, there was a 12-foot, whatever there, it was attacking us. We had to get away. I'll use fire, and everything's. You can light that sucker up. I mean, he or she will be trying to put that out or dealing with it, thus giving you enough time to, move on. And that's what you want. Another thing we carry is we have high-powered, almost zoological grade. I just bought it myself. It's like a pellet gun, so it shoots these. I think it's .65 caliber mini balls, plastic, but it shoots talcum powder as well as like a cayenne pepper. So and that's really great, and it gives you like a nice sized distance. I think it's 60-70 yards at max. If you want, you hit one of these creatures, God bless you, with one of those pellets, and it gets that cayenne pepper in its eyes. I don't give a shit how big you are.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to deal with that. You're not going to see properly. You may smell properly, but it's going to give you an advantage to go, let's go.
Yeah. What about, do y'all carry any flash devices like flashbangs, electronic flashbangs?
No, but I was thinking about it, and that was something, Al and I believe we had a conversation, and if we didn't, thanks for reminding me, because I'll talk to him about it. But
there you go.
Yeah, you know what? Great. Anything that makes like a really high pitched sound and that a flash. I think Jody Cook uses them.
Yeah, he does. Him and Nick Valente.
Yeah. I don't know Nick. I don't know him at all. I know Jody. and I was introduced briefly at one point. He was supposed to be on the show, but he never showed up. But I know Jody has them, and Jody takes them with it, and it could be very effective. It's probably more effective at night when it's like blinding. Just think about it. If you ever go in with those like Gen 3 night vision, right?
Yeah.
And you see it, you just turn on a flashlight. Oh God, you're gonna blind yourself from it. There you go.
That's a thermal.
Yeah, that's even better.
Yeah.
See, night vision is good, but if you want to really find these things,
thermal,
you can't get rid of thermal.
No, you can't.
You can't hide from thermal.
Yeah,
any which way.
That I got a night vision that's just like that, and the IR light that you got to have. The IR light's not built into the scope. You got to have a secondary. Looks like a little flashlight. The one I got, it puts out so much of a beam, and knowing that these things are able to see IR, I don't use it. I don't use it. The thermal doesn't use an IR light. It detects heat signatures. And man, you talking about working great. I actually was able to see one of these creatures. I don't know which one it was. It was tall at about 6 a.m. As soon as I turned on my thermal, I seen it standing straight ahead of me about at 100 yards. And it was towering above the brush. And as soon as I went to hit record on my thermal, I guess it seen my hand move like I was going to make some sort of maneuver toward the foregrip of the rifle. And it just dug down.
Yep.
Never seen it. Never seen it again.
Again, that's another creature that knows. They know you're there. They kind of know your intentions. And you don't become the king of the forest by hiding out, by letting people like yourself or somebody, take their picture. Now, I forgot his name. He does a lot out of Canada. He has some great, real close-up stuff of some Bigfoots. Chris Reinhardt just had him on. Jeez, sorry guys. Al would remember him. And the reason why he's been so successful is because he's shooting like a 900 millimeter lens from a mile and a half out. They're not prepared for that type of stuff. So he's zooming in on his tripod and he's getting some nice images, but he's a big distance away. And it's very interesting. I know that everybody complains like, oh, that's a blob squatch. It's a fucking blob squatch. Why? Well, I've always said that they use infrasound and whatever else, that is inherently automatically part of their structure, innate in their body. Like, I can't explain to you how I started to breathe. I just came out of the womb and I was breathing. Can you explain it?
No,
it's just something you do, right?
Yeah.
Right. So these are things that they do. It's just something they can do. It's one of those things where I've always said that they have an ability to manipulate the visual spectrum as well as electronic spectrum, which is part of the visual spectrum. So the reason why you're getting blob squatches 99.999% of the time is you're using an electronic device. Okay, that's one. It's manipulating. It's a lot of times you're with Bigfoot, your battery drains. Think about it. Yep. And the reason I can explain why the battery drains later too, but it's also if you in certain waves, infrasound can be put out there at certain frequencies, it affects the visual spectrum. It's proven, and that's why you're getting a blob squatch. Now, the reason why a lot of batteries drain at that point is if by chance you come upon one of them and you surprise them, or they want to get out quick. I believe that Bigfoot, Dogman too, but I'm talking Bigfoot right now. I believe when they're on Earth that we are on, they can be physical. They're physical flesh and blood creatures. However, they have ability to transform their physical self into a different atomic structure that will allow them to travel interdimensionally. And in the process, the conversion, this is going to get a little, I promise there won't be a test on this next Monday. In the conversion process of the energy, it happens all the time. there are sparks and lights that are generated from this in order to convert. You need more energy to convert regular energy. So
Right.
if they have access to your battery, and be it a camera or a big camera or your car or whatever, you're going to get that drain from it because they're using it to convert themselves from physical, like we see here, into invisible, into another dimension. And that's why you see also a lot of reports of lights, strange lights by Bigfoot sightings.
Hmm.
It's not UFOs. It is the Bigfoot themselves transforming from physical into uh, the other form that they can be
Right.
to go interdimensional.
And you know, I definitely believe the Dogman can do the same thing as well. I actually had months back, I caught two cryptids at the same time on my property, probably about a few minutes apart at about 150 yards apart. One was a Dogman, one was a Bigfoot.
Right.
The Dogman, I was out there with my oldest son, and I was just out there with my phone. I had a monocular device that attaches to it that
Yep.
enhances
I know
view.
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
So I had it up, and as I'm panning, I catch this big German Shepherd Dogman head looking dead ass at me. And I told my son, "Hey, look!" And I pulled it up on the viewfinder, and the entire viewfinder was covered with this massive head. I could see
Right.
everything from the eyes. I could tell you the markings on his face. I snapped a picture, and when I snapped that picture, the picture I got was not what was in that viewfinder. I wasn't zoomed or anything. I just held it
Yep.
up with that device, and boom, it messed with the resolution of my phone. It was such a smaller resolution. I had to look at it like, damn, what? I couldn't tell you what happened.
Like I said, these creatures have ability. I started off in this whole entire field before Dogman, Gigantopithecus,
Mm-hmm.
missing link, monkeys, apes, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. And I used to hear stuff about people having issues with cameras and this and having telepathic communications. And I used to say, they got the full six pack, these people, but they're missing the plastic thingy to hold it together, right?
Right.
I'm very courteous. I don't rip anybody apart either. People believe what they want to believe. But when
Right.
I had my own experience where I had a physical beast go from point A, where we were 20 feet away from me, probably less, to 2 miles down the road in a split second, the only explanation is it opened a portal, it walked in and opened a portal at the other end of the lake. That is the only way to do it. So if this has the ability to do that, don't think it can't mess with what you have, especially electronically.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, they're very wise. If they drain it just a second, put a drain on. They know what you're going to do, and they just drain it. They put something out there. When you press that button, it's your camera drains. It's kind of like getting a power surge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember before all those power surge protectors? You
Right.
get a power surge, poof, you
Boom.
pop, you're
Yeah.
done. Need a new phone, need a new stereo,
Yep.
need a new this. It's the same shit. They can do it. And people don't want to believe it. They don't. They're just so in their camps, oh, you're crazy. It's real. And I'm like, no, it's it's interdimensional. It's like the Miller Lite commercial. Tastes great, less filling.
Yeah.
Like you look, I get it because this is where your research has led you, but it also in your research on both ends of the spectrum, people are putting blinders and roadblocks up. Nope. Nope. It's only flesh and blood. And once you put that wall up, you're going to miss everything that's on the other side of that wall. Right? Just like the new trend today, and I'm going to say it, I don't care what anybody says. Everything unexplained now happens to be demonic through everybody. Aliens, Bigfoot, Dogman, all this shit. It's all demonic. Well, you know what the problem here is? And I'm a God-fearing man, and I'll tell you another thing. I am an ordained minister, so don't give me any crap about God. I'm not talking to you, Lou. I'm talking about everybody else. But you put up your wall there, your God Jesus wall, right? It's usually that side of the spectrum. Bible, King James, blah blah blah. Then you're missing all the things that you just gotta block it out because it's nope, it's a demon because you can't explain it. And if it ain't this, then if it's not Jesus, and it's not God, then it's evil. No, it's not. Okay, sometimes a tree is just a tree. Sometimes, you know, unfortunately, it's scary enough to be demonic, the Dogman, and some Bigfoot encounters, excuse me, as well. But it doesn't mean it's a demon. Because I'll tell you something. One thing I know for sure, demons, and pardon my French, I don't know if kids are listening, demons don't fuck around.
No.
Okay? It ain't fucking around time like, oh, I'll just scare them. Demons are real. They do evil shit, and that's what it is. And they get work right off the bat.
Yeah.
They don't need to do anything other than that. That's what their goal is. So it's not. And I'm hearing crazy stuff, and I forgive people too. Look, again, this is just my 2 cents. I'm not putting somebody down for it, but I think they're crisscrossing too many things. Yes, there were Nephilim, and the Nephilim are the product of angels and the daughters of man. It's a blasphemy, and the flood happened to get rid of the Nephilim and the blasphemy. Okay? There were also giants besides the Nephilim, 2 different things. Blasphemous because they were cannibals and they did things. Okay? I've heard something recently. I was ready to, I couldn't handle it. There are Bigfoots that go well over 20 feet, and I'm not kidding about this. Most of the time, you're going to catch them in the Pacific Northwest. Okay? You're talking about a 26, 27-inch footprint. Yeah. You're talking about a creature that's 20 plus feet tall. It looks like King fucking Kong. People have even said it. He goes, it looked like King Kong. What do you mean it looked like King Kong? It was taller than the trees. That's a big creature.
Yeah,
and
most definitely.
So there was reports of it. There are footprints found, but people are now explaining it that it's because Bigfoot mated with the Nephilim, and I just lose it. I'm like, no, these creatures just exist. They've existed since the beginning of time. Before God said, let there be light, let's put people down there, there were entities on this planet. Okay, it was there. Oh, missing 411. Here we go.
Yep, I was waiting for that to come up. Oh, Steve gives some good questions, man.
Because I can, I will. So I'm sorry about the rant. Unless I'm proven wrong, I will put that in the chest that Bigfoot and Nephilim are mating. I will laugh my ass off to it, and I guarantee I'm never going to find anything that proves that to be true.
Right. And there's a lot of people out there that have different point of views. Like some are just strictly flesh and blood. Some are strictly believe in the woo factor. And then there's some of us who, believe that both are happening. One may be happening more than the other, but that's not to discredit the flesh and blood over here or the woo over here. You know what I mean?
There's a variety of things here. Again, you're talking about when you get into Nephilim, it's a totally different subject, in my opinion. And I just don't see them mating with anything. It's the product between angel and man. They're not going to go out of the box, screw a zebra. It just doesn't, it doesn't make sense.
No,
that being said, I hope one day, maybe if I can be proven wrong, it's great. I concede to it. I will keep those things in my hypothesis folder. I have a list of, I've got pages and pages of questions. What if it's this? What if it is? And I detail them out for myself. And then, every time I have an experience, I'm like, nope, not that, not that. And I go through this list. Al does the same shit. We do it all the time. Well, just when you think you have it, something happens. You're like, okay, scrap that. We're now here now, But getting on the take of missing 411, I think Pallades is fantastic. Okay.
Oh yeah.
He's just fucking awesome. And I was really horrified to hear he was supposed to be at a Bigfoot conference, and him and his wife and his kids were threatened.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so he had to postpone, get out of it because the police weren't going to do anything protection. I think we've taken this crap to a little bit too far, people. Okay. No one has to believe in what you believe in. No one has to go along with your fantasies. Just like you don't have to believe what I say. I'm just telling you from my personal experiences. That's what I give out there. I'm not selling you anything. If you don't believe me, you have every right to not believe me. I always tell everybody, do your own research.
Yes.
Okay. And don't just stick with one subject. You got to widen that and go with the people you think are crazy may not be as crazy as you think. So just go with it, right? So the missing 401 is very interesting. So we have about 3 million people every year that go disappear from the face of the earth. Okay. And if you, it's funny. Something else I got from Butch too, because he was talking to an FBI guy about it. Being law enforcement. If you get rid of the people that are committing crimes, you get rid of people who just want to fall off the grid. If you get rid of the people that are like murder, suicide, you're still left with about, I think it was about 80,000 individuals that go missing, never heard from, or to be heard from again. And I think you have a bunch of things going on there. Okay. Bigfoot's nice and all, but they are meat eaters.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, they are.
And just like there are some crazy humans, there are some crazy Bigfoot. I believe we have situations where it's an opportunist, it's hungry, and it's taking these individuals. And this is where the interdimensional comes into play. Somebody disappearing right in front of your face and going into, like just you're able to open up a hole, grab somebody, pull them in interdimensionally, and as a feast or whatever. That's very plausible.
Yeah.
I also believe that many people, if nobody talks about this, I think I'm the only one that's recently been talking about it. There's a very dark side to the UFO subject. Okay, you have cattle mutilations. We all know about it, right? Where parts of cattle are found, surgically removed sexual organs, hearts, no blood, the eye sockets. I mean, it's perfect. It looks like a laser was used on it, whatever.
Right.
There's also human mutilations. Same way. Holes, pieces gone, organs gone, no blood. And we do have a variety of extraterrestrials that have been on this planet many millennium before, as well as extraterrestrials that have come here that have a taste for human flesh.
Right.
And I think a lot of these individuals are being consumed that way and going missing that way.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that are going missing, and in some cases they'll find a shoe 10 miles off the beaten path from where this person disappeared. Then they'll go the next day down the way, won't find nothing. Then they'll come back the next day, go down that part again, and then 5 miles in, or they'll find a backpack or a rifle or a fishing pole. And it's just, it's kind of real hard to fathom, what's actually doing this, what's actually not doing it. Doing this, could have been UFO related, could have been cryptid related. I think as a whole, it's a little bit of it all. I don't think it's just set to, it's a Bigfoot doing it or Dogman,
I don't.
whatever.
I'm just using Bigfoot as an example.
Yeah.
There are other entities that are interdimensional entities that have a taste for humans.
Yeah,
they do. I can't prove it. I don't have picture. I don't have video. It's just, it's more plausible than human combustion.
Yeah, exactly.
And they know enough about us that they for some reason like to bring back some of their products, like their shoes, their glasses, their clothing, their gun. You said, what's very interesting is that a majority of the people that you deal with in missing 411 are hunters.
Yes.
Okay. Now I don't know what a standard caliber is to use that's good for hunting. You know, I don't know what you would normally use. I mean, 306, 308.
308, 30-06, 270. There's an array of calibers you can use.
Right, but you know, I know that if you, you know, everybody talks about ARs and stuff, but if you just take one 308 and you know, it'll go in nice and small, but it'll be a big ass hole in the back.
yeah,
It's gonna rip the shit out of something. And
Mhm.
yeah, I guess that could be, you know, great instant kill type of thing, kill the heart, whatever. Why are these people that are carrying firearms going missing? And the only way that that can be described is that they're being surprised and not able to get their gun up at the same time.
Yes, I
So
really
they're
think
walking around the woods and without missing, something grabs them, pulls them in. And then once they're off their feet and they're overpowered, they're done.
Yeah.
So think about that.
You know, a
Let's-
lot of them
yeah.
hunters too, especially if you watch the Missing 401, few of them were elderly, but if you watched it, they were all out in the open. They weren't sitting in a box stand. They
Nope.
were all either sitting next to a
Or
tree,
roaming the woods, right?
roaming the woods, or on a rock. And to me, if they're not able to at least draw up or fire off a round before you draw up to get any kind of a distraction, that's telling me either it flanked you, came behind you, or it came straight from behind you and
Yep.
you didn't see it, you know. And
Now,
it's a whole bunch of stuff going on that we just don't know.
there's a lot of weird stuff also in the woods, and I've been like kind of researching it. It's kind of hard to find too much information on it, but have any of you have you heard about the staircases that are just appearing in the forest?
Yes, I have.
Now, that's pretty freaking strange, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
And I've heard from, you know, a couple of reports, you know, and people always say, if you come up on one of those staircases, don't climb those stairs. We don't know where they go to.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what opens up. What's at the top of it? It seems like there's something that appears there. It has to open up to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a free, you know, like a mason came in the woods and said, hey, you know, I'm going to build a staircase here. It's a joke. It serves a purpose, but what's the purpose? And where are they going? Maybe it is a jump point. Maybe, you know, it's not only just people being taken. I'll give you a great example. I'll give you two. There was a guy from, I think he was Canadian. He was ski patrol. And in New York State, in one of the mountains, they were doing like a class,
Yeah.
training class. So he joined that class. And when he went out skiing, he doesn't need his wallet, doesn't need his keys, nothing. He's staying there at the resort, leaves all that crap behind. So all he has is a ski outfit on. He was going down the mountain and he has a radio, just like you would have at ski patrol.
Mm-hmm.
He reported going down the mountain, and he goes, there's a freak storm that's coming in. He went through the storm. He disappeared off the New York mountain. They looked for him. They sent dogs out. They sent, search party after search party for like a couple of days. The guy is found because he wakes up in California someplace. He just doesn't know how he gets there. He's in a place, it's really hot. He has no money. He finds a phone. He makes a collect call to his wife. He goes, I don't know where I am or what the hell happened. And his wife's like, where are you? What the hell happened to you? They're looking for you. He says, I have no idea. He was out in California. Okay. So they get him back to the States. And of course they're thinking, oh, you rigged this. Then you flew to California. No record of him on any bus, any car, nothing. He had nothing on him. No keys, no money, no credit card, nothing. What happens is we have vortexes that appear and they can create portals. It's been known for years all over the world. And he just happened to go into a portal in New York State, and that landed him someplace in California.
Wow.
At that time. Another one is There's a guy that flies to and from the Bahamas,
Mhm.
and he says that it takes about an hour, a little bit over an hour, to go from the Bahamas to like Miami Airport, right? He gets in the Bahamas, then flying back to Miami. He puts in his itinerary. He registers with the airports, like his airport he's leaving, his flight plan. He starts flying. He's about 5 minutes into the flight. He says he encounters this really weird. He called it electronic fog, and it's kind of rotating, spiraling.
Yeah.
So it's clouds and storm electricity. He goes into it. His shit's not, his GPS not working. Even the compass is spinning. He's like, what the hell's going on? Flies into it, seeing all this electronic fog and lights and whatever. And then he flies out of it. Okay. He's no more than 10, 15 minutes in the air. He gets a radio call with his call numbers because he has a transponder on it, right?
Right.
So they call him up, like, where are you coming from? What's your flight plan and whatever? He goes, who is that? They find out who it is. It's Miami Airport. He's at Miami already.
Good.
So instead of it being an hour, it took 15
Yeah.
minutes because he went through a vortex.
Yeah.
So some of these missing 411 people, when you go in the woods and you go to certain places, could be traveling in a vortex. But where they go, where they end up, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
What if you go into some kind of portal here? You go in Texas, right? You're in Houston. Mm-hmm. You come out of a place in Houston. You're walking out. You're going to your car. There's a big storm. The next thing you know, you're ended up in like, where the hell am I? And you start walking like, this does not look like Houston. And you walk to a place and you see a village. It's Japanese people. Like, where am I? No, these are things that have happened.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always stated is that there are portals and vortexes that are in every part of the world and in a lot of these sacred sites we have, from Stonehenge to Gunjiwamp to the pyramids in both the Aztec pyramids as well as the Egyptian pyramids, as well as some other places. And what's very interesting is, because I've been finding it, there are reports of individuals appearing in places where they shouldn't be, like Japan, reporting something that looks like a Viking. It's strange visitors came from the wall and they look like this. And they met with us and then they disappeared. It's happened before. People just record it as folklore, but it's not. It's things are happening. Vortexes happen.
Yeah. Steve got another question, and
Sure.
this has been a question that's been popping up a lot lately, and it has to do with Antarctica.
So at the end of, okay, that's not a problem with that one. I think there's a lot of things going on here. At the end of World War II, 250,000 Nazis disappeared like that. And the report is that they were so advanced technology-wise because they had help from, as von Braun, who we got, a Nazi rocket scientist who started our NASA program, stated in an interview, we got help from them. And we're not talking about God, we're talking about aliens.
Aliens.
So they created I forgot the German name, but it translates to the bell. It looks like a bell, UFO. Mm-hmm. Supposedly, they got on the bell and they took off and they went towards Antarctica, because they were heavily present in Antarctica. Big presence, Nazi presence there. There's supposedly a base there, and that's where they stayed, and they were going to continue the Third Reich. Antarctica is a very interesting place because every country protects it. And in order for you to go there, you have to get permission from a variety of individuals. Otherwise, you're not even allowed to fly over the damn thing.
Right.
They don't want you anywhere near there. So I think my personal feeling is there's some technology, there's people, there's entities, there's something there that's been here for a long time before we were even a pimple on God's ass as human beings, and that exists there, and it will explain it will totally revolutionize everything that is going on. It'll explain almost everything. And sorry, my daughter came in.
No, it's fine.
So I'm having her help me out with something. Oh, um, can you forget it? And so I think there's things there that is not, would explain a lot of the craziness that we see in this world. Okay.
Yeah.
Normally, thank you, honey. It's always good to have kids.
No, it does definitely.
I love them to death, but it's to help you in the moment. Sorry about that. So I think there's a lot of stuff going on there, and they're finding things that don't gel with what the fossil record would say. That being said, I'm going to go even further. I think that on this planet, there have been numerous versions of cultures that have gotten to a certain point and have blown themselves up or killed themselves. And they've died. The earth reclaims itself, through wind, all the elements. And over millennia, it starts up again. And then we get to a certain point and we mess up and kill ourselves, and then it starts over again. We are now finding things deep in certain parts of the world that shouldn't be. We're finding things that look like cell phones.
Right.
That are like hundreds of millions of years old. Computers that are 200 million years old. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I don't think we're the first round here on this planet. I think there have been cultures and individuals here long before us, and they've gotten to a certain point, and everybody seems to be making the same bullshit mistake and destroying the planet. Be it greed, be it corruption, whatever. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think there's just like the story of I forgot who his name was. Many moons ago, he found a cave system in the Grand Canyon, and it's like the ceilings are tall enough, like for giants, and chairs that are built for like a 30-foot person to sit in. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of Egyptian architecture and Hindu type of things in there, and other different cultures, or all these different artifacts in there, and gold and swords that are just 20 stories high, 20-story, it's not a 20-story high, but like a 20-foot sword. And the only thing that could do it would be a giant. And of course the Smithsonian gets involved, and what happens? Shit goes missing, right? And then you can't go into certain areas of that. Now it's locked off, right? So that's what I think is going on there.
I've actually heard of, and I can't remember who it was, that actually had told me in an interview one time that they had heard and they believe that the government is keeping a sperm bank for Dogman in Antarctica. Now, to me, there's no proof, but I mean, then again, who knows?
Well, there is something called I think it's the Noah Project or Project Eden, one of the two. There is a bank, and I think it's in Greenland, because Greenland is really icy, and Iceland is not as icy. And I think it's either the North or South Pole as well. There's a building that was built. It's sub something temperatures, and every seed plant, everything, multiple of them are being stored there. It's a giant vault of stuff so that life can continue after we do something stupid and mess up the planet,
Right.
which, by the powers that be. As for Dogman and Bigfoot, I thoroughly believe that I'm going to talk about U.S. government. It could be other governments. I thoroughly believe the United States government and Black Projects knows very well what a Dogman is and what a Bigfoot is and what they can do, and they have specimens of them in-house, on-premise, locked up, and whatever. Thoroughly believe that.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
The possibility of them having sperm samples of these creatures, sure. Do I believe there were creations from the government and hybrids? No, I don't. I think these individuals are their own cryptid, their own species. They've existed for a millennium, and they just are what they are. But I think it's really interesting. I don't think it's with Bigfoot as much, but for some reason, it seems that the Dogmen work like a collective. And if you've ever watched Star Trek, you ever heard of the Q, right? We are the Q. We are the Q. Everything that a Q does, every Q knows about. It's like a giant resource, almost like the Akash record. It knows everything about everything. It's very strange. I've heard stories where these Dogmen are very much aware of what one is experienced as well as another. And that's why they usually, like, if someone takes a shot at it, more than one goes after the individual that takes a shot at it. Right. So I think there's a collective there. I can't say the same thing about Bigfoot whatsoever. Yeah. So I hope I answered it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Noah Bright. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the DNA vault. I was saying Noah. I don't know if it was Noah or there was another one. The Genesis project. There's so many different projects there, that exist. It's crazy. I feel like I had to put up my I can't wait till I get my shit situated and I can actually have like a backdrop and stuff.
Yeah.
And do what I want, Actually, I'm what's his name? Jeff God, I forgot your name, Jeff. Sorry. He does the realistic Bigfoots made to scale. So he does the heads and whatever, and I'm getting a giant Bigfoot head. So it's gonna be huge. And it's out of fiberglass. And as soon as I get down there, it's gotta see how much it weighs, and I'm gonna have it. And my wife's like, "Oh, you're not getting that." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my room. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna have a certain room, my office. I'm gonna have one of those in there."
All men gotta have an office. All men gotta have an office.
I don't know. I just, you know what? I'm paying a lot of money for something that, I need some spot,
Oh, that's absolutely. It. Yeah, because, I got mine.
Yeah, I got to be able to do, like, when we do, like, podcasts or, live streams or whatever it is. I'm tired of these, I have to hide things behind sheets or whatever.
Right. Right.
So I just want to be able to, do it and then get it done and whatever, that's the easiest way. So, but yeah, the Glock. Who's the Glock? I'm just looking at your chat right there.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the Glock, where Austrian made pistols, and
I love those too.
I love them.
It's I don't think I would ever bring a firearm, at all. I mean, I just don't think it's necessary in certain situations. It depends on where you're going,
Yeah.
And if you need a firearm, then you're not going to have a good enough experience whatsoever, because shit happens and sometimes accidents happen.
Yeah.
Hence, some of the population.
I always carry one with me when I go in my woods, but it's not because of cryptids. It's because of all the other wildlife that's around here. I mean, we got wild hogs, we got mountain lions, and I'm not looking to kill one of these things. But if I run into a pack of hogs and I'm unarmed, I'm up shit creek. I'm either gonna be up a tree with nowhere to go, or I'm just bag dumping and hauling ass. Because run into a pack of hogs, man, that's dangerous. That's real
That's
dangerous.
no, I totally get that. That's the reason why, like, I guess moving to Florida depends. I basically everything down there can kill you in the woods for the most part, from what I understand. So,
Pythons.
yeah, you know, so I mean, and then it's like, what caliber do you want to take with you? Because someone told me you may want to go 10 millimeter, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
It depends. I have a friend, such a sweet girl, really nice, beautiful, really small. She's a lot shorter than me. Her sister was just as tall as her, really frail, like nothing, like really thin. If you met her now, you'd be like, oh, she's such a sweet, yeah. She worked for U.S. Customs. She could have gone any place, but she became a customs agent. She's now like this commander or whatever it is. That girl carries 6 guns on her. You would never know it.
Oh wow.
One at the ankles on each leg, one at the hip on each leg, and under the arms. And you'd see her, you're like, hey, how's it going? It's good. And then every once in a while, she'll just move someplace and like, oh, there you go. Don't mess with her. And
Right.
I asked her once, I said, Deb, you got a lot of firepower because I deal a lot with drug dealers. So I'm not going to be there unarmed
That
in
explains
any
it.
situation. No, and I get it.
Yeah.
But I think, you know what, it's like everything else. When you go into the world, you need to train yourself properly with everything you can.
Yep.
And something I teach, Al and I have this sixth sense, if you would call it. I mean, I do things. I believe he has certain abilities, but he will never admit to it. I've conceded to admitting to I can do things. I remote view. I call it remote viewing. The psychic for our group, who's out in Arkansas, who I love to death. And I told her, like, I want to explore this. She goes, sure. She's like my Yoda. And she didn't tell me. I said, I don't want to open a Pandora's box. She goes, oh, yeah, no problem. And she knew it was a fucking Pandora's box. Just,
Yeah.
okay. But I remote view very well. She says I do what she does, but she's spot on psychic. And I don't think I do that. But as you develop this, and everybody can do this, mind you, I'm not saying I'm special. God made you in your his image. We all have
Mm-hmm.
this ability to communicate this way, to take in the universe in a certain way and see things. But as you exercise the muscle, the third eye, the pineal gland, whatever, it's like anything else. Other things start to happen. You start opening up other areas. So you can get clear audio. You can hear things. You can get clear touch. Where you physically are touching an object. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, this was, So there's a bunch of different things there that we can do. I think you need to train yourself. I think you need to train yourself in a spirituality before you go out into the field. Really,
Yep.
be one with, and Al and I will tell you right off the bat. The Glock. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you,
The
thanks,
German
Al.
bell. Yeah. I just seen that.
Yeah. I forgot the name of it. So I thought he was talking about, because we were talking about firearms at one point, and I'm like, oh, the
Yeah.
Glock, the
The
Glock
clock.
is
Yeah.
good.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, Al knows about the Ruger.
Yeah.
That's good too.
Yeah. Right.
And the Sig's nice too. I like the Sig.
Yeah.
But before you go in the woods, and I recommend this to anybody, I don't care how long you've been going in the woods, you're old enough to realize that it's not just woods out there. There are other things that are in the woods, and it's not just Bigfoot, and it's not Dogman. There are other entities and spirits, not good, that you may come across. So I'm not preachy with the gospel, whatever, but I
Right.
believe in God. And when I
Mm-hmm.
go there, I say a couple of prayers. I ground myself. I put a white golden light, a bubble of God around me. And on the outside, I make it mirror so I can see through it, but no one can see into me.
Right.
And I get that protection. And, we do sage before we go.
Mm-hmm.
We sage after. And I highly recommend also that when you come in from being out in the woods, be it hunting or whatever, do some sage. Say a prayer. Thank you, Lord, for protecting me, say the Holy St. Michael prayer. And I would recommend you shower. I do this after every investigation, no matter what time I get home in the morning. And a
Right.
couple of times I've gotten home like 3:34 in the morning, and I strip out of everything, put that in a bag, tie it up, and I jump in the shower, because that water running over you is a healing, positive energy. You clean up all the grime, all the negativity, let it get out down your drain, and you're good to go. Don't just think you're going into the woods and it's like, oh, we're going to go hunting. No, there's stuff out there that will hurt you.
Oh, absolutely.
You
And
know,
the whole water, I believe in that, because I had a lady tell me once about using water to, um, like if you felt any kind of depression, negativity in your room, in your house, get a clear glass, fill it up with tap water, about
yep,
yay far from the top, and put it on your nightstand. And she goes, the next day, if that water is still as clear as you put it in the night before, there is no negative energy in your house. Now, if it tends to
right.
be cloudy, dark, or black, then you got a problem.
Yep. Another thing you can do, and we're going to talk about protection for a moment. If you can find the centermost point of your home, and that doesn't matter if it's a single level or multiple levels, you find that spot where, if you could look at plans, like just draw them out in your head, like this is going to be where the center is, right? What you want to do is you want to take like a vial, something you can attach to the ceiling or the wall. I actually use, this is really funny. My kids went to one of those gumball machines they used to have in
Yeah.
supermarkets, and it comes in that plastic thing you can never get open.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what the hell's in there. So what I did was I drilled a hole in the side of it so it doesn't crack, and you fill it with salt, and you drill it and you stick it there, and that protects the whole house. You can also put salt around your perimeter, of the home, outside, as well as salt your house in the inside. Now, if you don't want salt all over the place, another thing we do is we use like Glad bags, and we fill it with salt. Now, I prefer kosher salt, which is because of the purity levels and factors you have to get. There's prayers involved in it, which is usually like, I think there's one called David's, and there's other one, I forgot the name of it. It's a nationwide brand.
Yeah.
But salt can be salt. It's the only reason why I say kosher is because of the religious requirements that is required, and goes back to the Old Testament of what is needed. You don't have to use kosher salt. You can use any salt you want. I'm often going to places and grabbing those salt packets. I don't even know. Yeah.
Oh, like from the restaurant?
Yep.
Yeah.
See that thing right there?
Yep.
I take these all the time. I go in by the handful, grab them, and you put them in your pockets. Put them in your pockets. Put them in your car. It protects you. If you're going to go talk to your boss, right? Boss says, come into I want you to come in. I want to talk to you. Before you go in that meeting, put some salt in your shoe, and watch. It's going to give you a little bit of an edge. Salt has been used for the millennium, and it's a great protector. But yeah, that will get some of the negativity out of your house. There's also other things. You can sage. You can use we came up with a liquid called the water of God, where we combine a bunch of things for people that don't want to burn incense to spray, and just contact us at the Bronxville Paranormal Society, and we'll give you the concoction to possibly to get it done, or we'll send it to you, whatever it is, to help you out. But protection is very important. The water is good.
Yeah. Water is definitely good.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, guys. Our man went to bed. Well, good night, Al.
Really,
yeah.
Grandpa?
Oh, Al, gotta love him, man. Gotta love him. Well, we've been a little over 2 hours, Brian. I know it's late for you. We'll let you. I know you got some things going on, so we'll let you get off and get to it. I want to appreciate you coming on, man.
It's a pleasure.
It was. I hadn't got to interview you yet, and Al's been messaging me, pushing me. You need to interview Brian. I said it's coming. Just it's got to be the right time. Got to be the right time, and it was. So unfortunately, some other things went on, but
Yeah, it's birth, life and death, right? That's what life is all about.
right?
You're born to die. That's exactly what happens. But I
Everybody
can't
goes
thank you
through
enough
it.
for inviting me on.
Oh yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I'll tell you, when people say, "Why are you doing that show?" You know what? It's first of all, I'm a podcaster now, live streamer. I know what it takes to ask somebody to come on a show. Okay.
Mhm.
And I think it's an honor. If someone wants you to be on their show, you should oblige them by saying yes to it.
Oh,
Work out
absolutely.
the date, because it's an honor to be asked, and I appreciate it all the time, and I appreciate everybody, all questions, and I even appreciate, now I'll tell you, even the guys that want to try to shut you down and whatever. I get it. It goes against your narrative, whatever, but I still appreciate them, because if we can get you to think, if I can get you to go out to do some research, real research, I've done my work. Again, I'm not selling you anything. I'm not pushing anything. I just tell you from my own personal experience. And that's what we try to do. And, when we go investigate, translate those experiences.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. You got a good
Absolutely.
crowd there too.
Oh yeah, I got some of the greatest guys that helped me out with all this, and all my mods and admins, B, Steve, Marquetta, Odessa, all them guys.
Yep.
I really appreciate y'all showing up. We're gonna wind it on down. Bryan,
Sure.
we'll do it again. We'll do it again, buddy. If you need anything, give me a
Sure.
holler. I'm here for you and Al always.
Same,
And
right back at you.
And you have yourself a great night. Spend time with your family, and I will talk to you later, buddy.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
All right, brother. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.